Every year, millions of people buy used cars thinking they're getting a great deal, only to end up with a nightmare on wheels. And here's the thing, most of them don't even realize what they bought until it's too late. Shady sellers have mastered the art of hiding problems. They clean up wrecks, mask major issues, and use every trick in the book to make a bad car look good. If you don't know what to look for, you're walking straight into a trap. But today, we're going to change that. I'm going to show you 15 brutal red flags that scream, "Don't buy this car." And at the very end, I'll share one simple trick that can expose any car's dirty secret in seconds. Let's get into it. Sign 1. Mismatched paint or body panels. The first thing you need to do is step back and really look at the car. Do the panels all match? If one fender is shinier than the rest, or the hood is slightly off in color, that's a big warning sign. It usually means the car's been in an accident, and someone did a quick, cheap fix to cover it up. But here's the thing, it's not just about color. Check the panel gaps too, if they're uneven, if the doors don't close smoothly, or if you see overspray paint inside the wheel wells or on the rubber trim. You're looking at a poorly repaired wreck. A repainted or replaced panel doesn't automatically make a car bad. Accidents happen, but if the seller didn't disclose it, you need to ask yourself what else they're hiding. And if they can't provide a repair history, walk away. Sign 2. Salvage or rebuilt title. Always, and I mean always, check the title status. If it says salvage or rebuilt, that car was once declared a total loss by an insurance company. That could mean it was wrecked, flooded, or even caught fire. Now, some sellers will try to convince you it's no big deal. Oh, it was just cosmetic damage. But here's the truth. Rebuilt cars often hide deep structural or electrical issues. A frame that's been twisted and then straightened never drives the same. Flood cars might run today, but become an electrical nightmare tomorrow. Unless you're a pro who knows exactly what to look for, and you're getting it dirt cheap, a salvage or rebuilt title is almost always a hard pass. And if the seller downplays it, that's an even bigger red flag. Sign 3. Frame damage or rust on the undercarriage. Crawl under the car. Yes, actually get on the ground and look. You'll learn more in 30 seconds than the seller will ever tell you. If you see crumpled metal, bent cross members, or fresh paint in suspicious areas, that's likely frame damage. A damaged frame is one of the most expensive and dangerous problems a car can have. It messes with the car's alignment, its safety, and even its crash protection. Now let's talk about rust. Surface rust on the exhaust or suspension arms is one thing. That's pretty normal. But if you see deep, flaky corrosion on the frame or suspension mounts, that car is rotting from the inside out. Rust spreads quickly, it weakens structural integrity, and fixing it is rarely worth the cost. Sign 4. Visible external head. Gasket leaks. Pop the hood and take a good look at the engine block, especially around where the cylinder head meets the engine. Do you see any oil or coolant leaking? That could mean a blown head gasket. And trust me, that's not a small fix. Head gasket repairs can cost thousands, and they usually point to overheating or other major engine problems. Also, check the oil cap. If you see a milky, frothy substance, that's coolant mixing with oil. Another clear sign of a head gasket issue. If you see this, don't try to convince yourself it's just a minor leak. It's not. Unless you're ready for a massive repair bill, walk away from that car. Sign 5. Dirty or sludgy engine oil. Pull out the dipstick. It takes 5 seconds and could save you thousands. If the oil is black and gritty, that means the car hasn't had regular oil changes, which is pure engine abuse. Worse, if it looks like sludge, that car is a ticking time bomb. Sludge clogs oil passages, starves components of lubrication, and slowly kills an engine from the inside. On the other hand, well-maintained cars usually have clean, amber-colored oil. So, here's the question. If the seller couldn't even bother to do a basic oil change before showing the car, what other maintenance have they skipped? The answer is probably all of it. Sign 6. Burnt or dirty transmission fluid. Transmission repairs are some of the most expensive expensive you can face, often more than the car's worth. So always check the fluid. Healthy transmission fluid should be a bright pink or red and have a slightly sweet smell. If it's brown, black, or smells burnt, that transmission is already on its way out. Some sellers will even try to top it off with new fluid to mask problems, but it won't hide the smell of burnt clutches. If you see or smell anything off, don't convince yourself it's just a fluid change away from being perfect. A dying transmission is a wallet killer. Sign 7. Dashboard warning lights. When you start the car, look closely at the dashboard. Every warning light should come on briefly and then go off. If they stay lit, check engine, ABS, airbag. That's a problem. Some sellers even go so far as to pull the bulbs or tamper with the system to hide warnings. That's why you should always bring an OBD2 scanner and run a quick check. If the seller refuses, that's all you need to know. Walk away. Sign 8. Airbags deployed or missing. Airbags save lives, but they're expensive to replace, which is exactly why some sellers skip it. Look closely at the steering wheel and dashboard. Are there uneven seams, loose panels, or parts that don't quite fit? That's a sign an airbag deployed and wasn't replaced. In shady cases, people even stuff foam or rags in there to make it look normal. A car without working airbags isn't just unsafe. It's practically a death trap. No matter how good the deal sounds, it's not worth your life. Sign 9. Odometer tampering. You'd be surprised how common odometer rollback still is. Just because the dash says 60,000 miles doesn't mean it's true. Compare the mileage to the wear and tear inside the car. Are the pedals, seats, and steering wheel worn out like a 150,000 mile car? Does it look too old for the numbers? That's a sign you're being lied to. Always cross-check mileage with service records or a Carfax report. If the seller has no records or acts sketchy about providing them, that's a sign to bail. Sign 10. Unusual noises. During a test drive, this one's huge. Actually drive the car. Sellers hate when you take your time on a test drive because that's when the truth comes out. Listen for clunks when turning, grinding when braking, whining from the transmission, or knocking from the engine. Any of these can point to serious, expensive problems. And if the seller tries to rush you through the drive, or doesn't want you driving it at all, that's your cue to run. Sign 11. Unstable idle or hard starting. Pay attention to how the car starts and idles. If it struggles to start, stalls, or idles rough, that's not normal. It could be bad fuel injectors, ignition problems, or even a failing engine. These aren't quick fixes. They're big money repairs. A well-maintained car should start smoothly and settle into a steady idle. Anything else is a sign of trouble brewing. Sign 12. Strong air fresheners or odor masking. If you open the door and get blasted with an overpowering air freshener, don't think, oh nice, it smells clean. Think, what are they hiding? Sellers often use strong scents to cover up mold, mildew from flood damage, or years of cigarette smoke. Look under the floor mats for water stains, check the trunk for dampness, and sniff around. If it smells off, the car probably has a history you don't want to deal with. Sign 13. Title not in seller's name. This one's simple. If the name on the title doesn't match the seller's ID, walk away. You might be dealing with a curb stoner, an unlicensed dealer, flipping cars illegally. Or worse, the car could be stolen. If they make excuses like, oh, I'm selling it for a friend, don't fall for it. No matching title, no deal. Sign 14. The seller avoids questions. One of the clearest red flags when buying a car is how the seller reacts to your questions. When you're spending thousands of dollars, you have every right to ask as much as you need about maintenance, accidents, ownership history, and anything else that could affect the car's value or safety. But here's where it gets interesting. Shady sellers often try to dodge these conversations. They'll give vague answers like, oh, it's been well taken care of, without offering any proof. Or they'll change the subject when you ask about service records, accident history, or why they're selling. Sometimes they'll even get defensive or irritated, as if you're being unreasonable for wanting details. But a trustworthy seller? They'll be happy to walk you through the car's history, provide receipts for repairs, and answer everything directly. Why? Because they've got nothing to hide. If you ask a simple question like, has this car been in an accident? Or do you have maintenance records? And the seller dodges it, that's a huge red flag. In fact, silence or hesitation often says more than their actual answer. A good rule to remember: if someone can't give you clear, honest answers about the car they're selling, you shouldn't trust them with your money. Cars with nothing to hide don't need shady explanations. And sellers who refuse to talk usually know something they don't want you to find out. Sign 15. Pushy seller or rush deal. And finally, beware of pressure tactics, because this is one of the oldest tricks in the book. If a seller says things like, I've got another buyer coming later today, this deal won't last. Or, you need to decide right now. It's not because the car is in high demand, it's because they don't want you to think too much about what you're buying. They're trying to create a false sense of urgency, so you skip the inspection, ignore your gut, and hand over the cash before you notice the problems. A trustworthy seller won't mind if you take your time. They'll let you ask as many questions as you need, get a pre-purchase inspection, and even walk away if you don't feel comfortable. In fact, they'll encourage it because they know the car is solid. But a pushy seller? They don't want you looking too closely. They want a quick sale, because the longer you think, the more likely you are to spot the red flags. Here's a good rule: if you feel rushed, that's your sign to slow down. And if they refuse to give you time for an inspection or proper paperwork, walk away without hesitation. A good deal can wait. A bad one can cost you thousands. Remember, buying a car is a big decision, and the moment someone tries to pressure you into making it fast, they're probably hiding something. Sign 16. Incomplete or suspicious service records. A well-maintained car usually comes with a paper trail, oil change receipts, dealership service stamps, or at least a digital maintenance history. If the seller can't provide any records or says things like, I lost them, or it was all done by my buddy, that's a problem. Cars without service records are often neglected, and you'll have no way of knowing if critical maintenance like timing, belt replacements, fluid changes, or brake servicing was ever done. On the other hand, if the records look suspicious, like multiple services done on the same day, missing mileage entries, or handwritten notes with no shop details, that could mean they're fake. A trustworthy seller will be happy to show you organized, verifiable records because they prove the car's been cared for. No records, no proof. And that's a gamble you don't want to take. So how do you protect yourself? Simple. Always get a pre-purchase inspection from a trusted mechanic. They'll spot things you'd never notice. And always run a vehicle history report. It can reveal accidents, title issues, and even odometer rollbacks. Between those two steps, you'll uncover nearly every dirty trick a seller could try to pull. Remember, if something feels off, trust your gut. There are plenty of cars out there. Don't settle for one that's hiding a nightmare under the hood.